Hi, welcome back to another episode of ADK Talks. I'm Jane, along with my co-host and brother Steve. Say hi, Steve.
Hello.
And we bring you the best of the Adirondacks, whether it's a place to stay, eat, shop, or something to experience. We are your guides to discovering the amazing things to do in New York State's 6 million acre Adirondack Park. If you're a regular listener to our podcast, you may recall that at the end of every episode, we ask for your feedback and questions. Use that input to help shape future interviews for the podcast and the content for adktaste.com. And we've been super pleased with all the different emails we've received, but we realized we kind of do a bad job of responding to your emails on air. We kind of keep that content to ourselves and don't share back. So Steve suggested we dedicate an episode to answering your questions.
What a brilliant idea.
Oh, you're so smart. How did you get so smart, Steve?
I don't know.
So, to keep the conversation focused, since we do tend to get off on tangents,
Us?
I know, who would have thunk it? We decided to concentrate on questions we've received from a specific region. You know, it's 6 million acres, as we said before. The Adirondack Park is bigger than the state of New Jersey, so that's a lot of territory to cover. So to begin with this episode, we're going to answer questions about the Tri-Lakes and High Peaks region. We get a lot of questions about visiting places like Lake Placid, Saranac Lake, and Tupper Lake. And hopefully that'll help keep us focused and keep a good theme going for this episode. And if this approach resonates with our listeners, we'll dedicate future episodes to other regions like the Central Adirondacks, the Champlain region, Lake George area, etc. Okay, so are we good to go, Steve?
I'm all set.
All right. Our first question comes from Dennis in Toms River, New Jersey. Hello, Dennis. And he asks, what's the best place to stay near Lake Placid if I want to feel like I'm in the mountains, but still close to restaurants and shops? That's a good one. I'll start, and I'm going to say check out the East Wind Hotel in Lake Placid. Super stylish and cozy with a boutique hotel vibe. And it's located right in the heart of Lake Placid Village. And they offer a variety of rooms and suites. So whatever your need, if you need a basic room or you need a bigger room, they've got it. It's very lots well appointed, great amenities. But what makes it unique is that the property also has these really cool cabins that are crafted by a company called Lushna, I think it's Scandinavian. They're a global company of bioclimatic architects. And yeah, they're
Impressive.
very impressive. They're people who love the outdoors and they are hospitality experts that really believe that nature is glamour. And I'm not just saying that, I read that on their website. But these
Oh,
cabins are exquisite little jewel boxes with all the amenities, air conditioning, Wi-Fi, bathroom. Some of them feature a wall that's all glass. The front of it's all glass, so you're just looking out on nature and you feel like you're part of nature. And some have views of the Chubb River, which runs on the property of Eastwind. And as I said before, the hotel is located right in Lake George Village, so you can walk to shops and restaurants. And then they also have bicycles if you want to tool around town on two wheels that guests can borrow and take around town. But I think I think the Eastwood is a great example of a place that both gives you the convenience of being in town with a feeling that you're really immersed in nature.
very nice. Whew. You know
What
what
about
my go-to always will be?
I think I have a guess, but I'll let you reveal.
My favorite haunted hotel, the Hotel
Ah,
Saranac.
the Hotel Sarah. Okay. That
Oh,
is a beautiful property right in downtown Saranac
yeah,
Lake. You know, I think Architectural Digest named it one of the most beautiful hotels in the Adirondacks.
I believe you are correct. It's got a bunch of nice rooms. I mean, they vary. And Everything's pretty much updated. I mean, you don't find that it's an older building, but the rooms aren't antique as well. So
Right.
it offers a lot of things. Plus, it's very close to the restaurants. A couple in particular we could recommend. The emailer, what was his? I apologize. I've even forgotten the questioner's name.
Dennis.
Dennis. Dennis in Tom's River, as I remember.
Yep.
So you could also maybe shoot him some restaurant ideas. And the views are great. You can see the mountains and walk to the restaurants and or eat right there.
Yeah. And, we just had the Adirondack Center for Loon Conservation. That's right down the street from the hotel. You can go visit that. And we've mentioned it before. And that really cool Saranac Laboratory Museum is also, it's like almost literally around the corner from
Hmm.
Hotel Saranac. That is a great, great call on that one. Okay. So next up, Mary Catherine from Austin, Texas. I love it when we get emails from people in different time zones. She wrote us and she said, we're doing a cross-country road trip from Texas to Quebec in September. That's a haul.
Mary Catherine, what are you thinking?
Well, she's thinking about the beautiful, gorgeous fall foliage and she wants to check it out.
Yeah, but she won't see any of it until she's into Pennsylvania.
Well, maybe she's got other plans stopped along the way. Ours is
Uh,
not to judge, Stephen. We're just
I'm
here to
sorry.
provide insight and intel. Anyway, she says that they plan to spend a few days in the Lake Placid area. And of course, what local shops or galleries sell unique Adirondack made goods that I won't find anywhere else? That's a really good question, too. Well, first of all, smart move, Mary Catherine. We've turned our besties from Houston, Texas into big fans of the Adirondacks. So I think if you haven't been here before, you are going to love it. And that's a really good question, too. I think, I know when I travel, I like to find things that will be useful to me that are unique to that place. I just was in Italy this spring and I bought a beautiful antique ceramic tile that I've had framed in the Riverside Gallery in Warrensburg. Sorry, I'm getting off on a tangent. But now I can hang that on the wall and look at it every day and it'll make me think of Italy. So when I saw this question, I immediately thought of some of the great galleries that are in the Lake Placid area. In particular, over in Saranac Lake, which you should definitely visit if you're going to be in that area, Mary Catherine. It's just 10 minutes from Lake Placid. There's two great galleries, the Northwind Fine Arts Gallery, which showcases regional artists. And when you're in there, you may even meet one of them, as well as the Adirondack Artists Guild Gallery. Same thing, great art from local artists as well. And, pottery, painting, photography. I think I've even seen jewelry in both of those galleries too. So I would definitely stop by both of those places. The other spot I love that's just south of Lake Placid, and this is a great question for me because I don't think Steve's a big shopper.
I like t-shirts.
I don't think that's what Mary Catherine was asking
Oh,
about, but
okay.
one of my favorite places for shopping is in Keene, which is a really charming little town that's also worth a visit about 15 miles south of Lake Placid,
Oh yeah.
uh, is Dartbrook Rustic Goods.
Hmm.
They actually have two retail establishments in Keene. They're just actually one's just down the street from the other, but they sell really beautiful custom furniture and gifts. Great, just really cool stuff you're not going to find anywhere else. You can check out, they have a great website too.
And as I recall, there are a couple nice bakeries in the vicinity.
Yes,
If
and I always get Keene and Keene
if I'm
Valley confused,
yes,
but there's a
as do
great
most people.
there's a great restaurant called 46 that's in Keene that's I think it's open for lunch in the summer, but real farm to table, cuisine too. And so it's definitely worth a trip if you want to have a little shopping day. And then in Lake Placid, make sure you visit the Adirondack store. There's also one in Tupper Lake. and actually New Canaan, Connecticut, of all places. I don't know how they got there, but they have beautiful, authentic Adirondack gifts and furnishings, some antiques. And nearby to the Adirondack store is the Adirondack Decorative Arts and Crafts, and they have beautiful one-of-a-kind items as well. So lots of good options. And then just on Main Street in Lake Placid is great shopping too. So I don't think you're going to have any trouble finding something suitable, but those are some special places I would recommend to somebody who's looking for something really special. Anything to add to that, Steve, in your shopping journeys?
Nope.
Do you have a favorite t-shirt shop in the area?
No.
No, all
I
right.
nah, not really. It's my taste in the t-shirts are fairly specific, so I it's when I see something I like, then I get it.
Yeah. I
It's
think they
it's
have,
I most of my t-shirt collection is from breweries and brew pubs, so I guess that would be my favorite t-shirt shopping experience.
that's a great idea, Steve, getting a t-shirt from one of the breweries or distilleries. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. But picking up a t-shirt from Big Slide or Racket River Brewing or one of those places that's in the area, that's a great conversation piece as well. So good thing to keep in mind too.
Certainly. And it doesn't hurt to try their beer.
It does not hurt to try there. In fact, I think it's mandatory if you're going to wear the t-shirts, you got to
Yeah.
sample the goods.
Can't wear a t-shirt from a brewery or brew pub that you haven't tried.
Okay, the next question comes from Worcester, Mass. Mike from
Worcester.
Worcester.
Mike from Worcester.
Well, Mike from Worcester wrote in to ask about hiking near Lake Placid. And I think, in full disclosure, Steve and I are not expert hikers in the Adirondacks. There are plenty of great resources. The Adirondack Mountain Club. There's actually a great podcast called 46 of 46 that's produced by a couple of 46ers. Those are people who've hiked all 46 high peaks. But we do know a little bit. And he wrote, my wife's sister, should I do this? And I don't know if I could do it in a Boston
Don't.
accent. Don't try it. Okay. My wife's sister is getting married at the Mirror Lake Inn this October. What's a good, relatively quick hike that offers the most stunning views with the least amount of pain that I could do the morning of the wedding? The big event isn't till 4 p.m. First,
Mike, can I suggest you do this the day before the wedding? The morning of the wedding is never a good idea.
yeah,
If you get lost or you trip and hurt yourself, your wife's sister is never going to be happy with you.
yeah, and we wish her all the best, but I think I'd rethink my priorities if I were you, Mike.
Anyway,
Anyway, we did consult with our trail expert, Jake, who does a lot of our customer service for us. And he recommended Mount Joe in North Elba. That's Mount Joe, J-O, like Josephine, in North Elba. It's a relatively short hike. I think it's just around 2.5 miles round trip, but it packs in a serious panoramic punch. Jake says that from the summit, you'll get just incredible jaw-dropping views of Heart Lake and the surrounding high peaks. So it really it's a good bang for the buck. It is a popular hike, and relatively moderately easy. So, Mike, I don't know what caliber hiker you are, but I think it's suitable for anyone. Don't forget to follow the 10 essentials for hiking smart. If you don't know what they are, Google hike smart New York. We'll actually put a link to it in the show notes. When we had the search and rescue of the Northern Adirondacks on the podcast, they talked about the things every hiker should carry in their pack, including navigation, hydration, a first aid kit, headlamp. Even though, Mike, you're going in the day, you never know what could happen in the Adirondacks. Then there's a bunch of other things, but definitely check that out. And also, don't forget to leave no trace. So if you brought it in, you're going to bring it out.
always.
always.
Can I actually, because I did some hiking when I was in college, and there are two that I recall, and I'm doing this from memory, but one was Cobble Lookout, which
Hmm.
is, as I recall, on the eastern side of Whiteface Mountain. It looks down towards Sable. It's got an amazing view. Um, it's a roughly 2 mile round trip, a little bit of elevation, but not gut wrenching. So if you've been doing some hiking, it's not flat, but um, it's certainly worth the time it takes to get up there. And the other one would be, it's a little bit of a drive outside of Lake Placid, but it's a nice perspective on uh, what I always call it's the last mountain on the Northway, Poco
Hmm.
Moonshine. And that gives
Oh,
you a view. You can even see Montreal on a clear day from there.
wow.
And you
Yeah.
can see across to Burlington, uh, Lake
Across Lake
Champlain. You get
Champlain.
yeah,
Yeah.
you get a nice view of the Champlain Valley. And um, that's a really good fall. The we used to climb it Columbus Day weekend every year, and it always seemed like that was the peak. If it wasn't raining, we were not that dedicated of a hiking group, and the leaves from up there were just amazing. So
Good call.
just
Oh,
came to
thank you
mind.
for that. That's perfect. Great. Awesome. Okay. Next, we have a question from Emily, who is from Syracuse, and she asks or writes in, we've rented a house with three other couples on Osita Lake. That's beautiful in late September for leaf peeping. Is there a must-try local brewery or distillery with a tasting room and a great atmosphere? Emily, you came to the right place.
Mhm.
You probably spend the whole weekend doing that. So Osita Lake is gorgeous. So great call on picking that location. And yes, there are many great options in the area. Let we just make sure you have a designated driver and drink responsibly. We have to make that little public service announcement. I'll put in a vote for the Racket River Brewing in Tupper Lake. That is a local favorite that has just grown tremendously over the last couple of years, 10 years. They have a rotating selection of craft beers, a really lovely large outdoor beer garden with fire pits and picnic tables and chairs. Part of it is covered. So if it's a nice day, you can sit outside and have a beer. And then the tasting room itself is spacious, wood paneled. I think they've got a giant moose hanging
Mm.
over their fireplace.
Everyone
And
should have a giant moose head over their fireplace.
yeah, not here, thanks. But they also have they don't serve food, but they always have three or four food trucks, and they're
Yeah,
really good food trucks outside. So, highly recommend Racket River Brewing.
I don't think you go wrong with that at all.
Yeah.
There's in Placid, of course, is Placid Pub and Brewery, and Big Slide as well, same ownership. Uh, they they're the Lake Placid Pub and Brewery is probably the first brew pub. There was a small we weren't a brew pub up on Meacham Lake years and years ago. There was a couple guys that were working. I don't even know if it was legal, right off of Route 30, and they you could go in there and fill up a. I don't know. They must have hand bottled. It was funny, but I think Lake Placid was the first one to come in and have an actual brewery on site, and they're just they it won't be probably won't be out in September, maybe late, but I doubt it. Well, it's possible. They brew a barley wine that's one of my absolute favorites when the weather starts to get cold. So
I don't
I know
think I've
we're not.
ever had that.
You probably haven't. I
What does
wouldn't.
it
What
taste?
a,
What does barley wine taste like?
it's a very strong beer. It's a
Oh,
high
okay.
alcohol, not very hot, not highly hopped. It's the wine of the barley, but it's very warming. Not a lot of malt.
Hmm.
It's not a heavy beer. It's got it's I enjoy it. typically wee heavy from Scotland. It's they're all about St. John. But anyway, they're good. And sort of a addition to the Adirondacks that's late of the past couple of years is a out of the area breweries that just have tasting rooms.
Hmm.
So one in Placid is the Prison City Brewery, which they offer. They're in Auburn, so that might be familiar to someone from Syracuse. They may have had their beer already, but to, you know, it's always tastes better than the Adirondacks.
Right.
So sometimes it doesn't matter where it's made, but when you've got actual Adirondack water, it's just a little bit better.
Yeah. Big Slide also you mentioned too. That's very popular. It's a great spot. Really good food too. I also really like Raybrook Brew House, which is between Lake
Hmm.
Placid and Saranac Lake. It's real low key, nice place. You can do a flight tasting there, which is really fun. And Hex and Hop
Texan hop.
in Bloomingdale. They offer high quality beers and meads. Again, I don't think I've ever had any mead. That
Oh,
sounds
really?
like something you'd sip while you're playing your lute, but I'm not
Yeah, yeah. It's big at the
playing green sleeves on your
yeah.
lute.
I'm not a huge mead fan, but it's I've had some good dry ones. Like
Oh, all right.
it's like a good
Oh,
dry cider. They
I like cider. Yeah, but they really make a big point about how their beverages are crafted from locally sourced ingredients. They're really into, making it as authentically Adirondack as possible. I think all these places are, but it's definitely Bloomingdale is worth a trip. It's how far is that outside of Lake Placid, Steve?
oh 20 minutes,
Yeah,
25 minutes.
yeah,
Depends on how fast you drive. Careful driving fast on Route 3 sometimes.
yeah. Especially if you've been drinking. Again, get a designated driver.
Get a designated driver.
It might be worth mentioning it's technically not in the Tri Lakes and High Peaks region, but Orkin and Spirits in Crown Point,
Mm.
they've been on the podcast. That is definitely worth the short drive over to Crown Point. It's the distillery itself and is in a converted, 1800s barn. It's a really beautiful building. The tasting room, they call it Defiance Hall. Really lovely, wooden beams, and you just feel like you are, immersed in history there. But they do some great whiskeys, rye, bourbon, and they really advocate for, drinking it neat. I think they make a great cocktail, really interesting flavors and really, really cool stuff. And they've got food too. So, and it's a real pretty drive. So I would say that. Okay. So, and back to Mary Catherine's question about cool stuff you can buy. All this stuff has custom merch, hats,
Yeah,
uh,
t-shirts.
t-shirts, glasses. And so you can look really cool, Mary Catherine, tooling around Austin in your Big Slide Brewery t-shirt or hat. So, okay, this is a big one. The next one. Randy from Philadelphia wrote in and he said, my nephew's getting married in Lake Placid in August. It's been over 30 years since I've been to the Adirondacks. My wife and I would like to extend our trip by a few days to take advantage of the history and beauty of the area, but we're not the overly rugged types, so they're not going to be hiking with Mike from Worcester. Any suggestions for things to do? Oh boy, Mike. Randy, I mean. Sorry, Randy. There's we could do a whole pod. Well, we are doing a whole podcast on things to do in Lake Placid in the area.
Isn't that you?
So there are plenty of great things to do. First place I would say, if you're interested in history, definitely check out the John Brown Farm just outside the village of Lake Placid. It's a just beautiful historic site. The grounds are absolutely lovely, super picturesque. You can tour John Brown's farmhouse, which includes informative exhibits about his life and the abolitionist movement. As you recall, John Brown led the raid on where did he lead that raid? Was it Harper's
Uh,
Ferry?
Harper's. I was going to say Visher Ferry, but that's on the Mohawk. Harper's Ferry.
And then he was, for which he was captured and executed for his crime, but his spirit lives on as one of the great abolitionists. And they have the property, as I said, is really pretty and scenic. There are some great walking trails if you're up for a stroll in nature too. So I would definitely put that on the list. I would also put on the list, about 20 minutes east of Lake Placid Village is High Gorge Falls. And they were on the podcast earlier this spring. High Gorge has a kind of a unique experience where visitors can really immerse themselves in the Adirondack nature and come up close to some really spectacular waterfalls and get a fascinating geology lesson. It features a network of walkways and bridges, so it makes it easy to get around. There are areas where there's, 20 or 30 steps down to the river. It's the Ausable River that runs through it. But, if you're reasonably mobile, you can definitely get around. And it's like literally, it's funny because you pull into the parking lot and you go into the gift shop and then you're there. You go right out and you're on the trails and you feel like you're deep somewhere deep in the woods. And it's at the base of Whiteface Mountain. It's really a great experience, and they're open year round. I just did it in January, and it was really cool in the winter, but it's also beautiful in the summer as well. And
Yeah.
it
Oh,
typically, well, I was just going to say that it took us about an hour to do it. So it's not like this huge investment of time. And there are a couple of other things that are nearby that you could check out.
yeah. High Falls Gorge is another one. It's not too different, far from there.
I just said High Falls Gorge, Steve.
Whiteface Memorial Highway.
Ah, the Whiteface Memorial Highway. Tell our listeners about the Whiteface Memorial Highway, Steve.
It's the easiest way to get up Whiteface Mountain.
It's true.
You can claim you've gone up a high 46, one of the 46 highest peaks, and you only have to drive, or you drive to within a few hundred yards of the peak itself. The views are incredible because you pretty much work your way back and forth on the northern to western side of Lake to Mount Whiteface. There are views that you don't see if you're skiing there. So it's really nice to take your time. Well, there are a lot of places you can pull off and and take some pictures and
Mm.
look around. And I actually, if you don't have really good brakes, it's also worth doing on the way down because I've seen, yeah, and I actually experienced once some very smelly, smoky brake pads when I stopped for ice cream down at the White Brook Dairy Bar in Wilmington. Following that, the boys were with me, and they were,
Oh, that was in your car. That wasn't in the old
yeah,
Dodge Dart.
no, 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 no. The old Dodge Dart would have done that without a problem, but actually, it might have done that. But it was it's really it's worth the time, and if it's a really hot day or a muggy day, you get to the top of Whiteface, and it's like nature's air conditioning.
Yeah.
There's always a breeze. The humidity level is much lower, and it's it's really a nice. It's a beautiful view. You can see all of Lake Placid, which isn't that lake in the middle of the village of Lake Placid, but it's just outside of the village. Very distinctive because of its two large islands. Um, so it's a perspective on the area that you don't normally get.
Yeah.
Another interesting perspective of the two. First is if you don't mind doing a little bit of climbing upstairs, I believe you can still access the top of I think the 70-meter jump. Do they still allow people to go up there to
The ski jump? Yeah,
yeah.
I do not like heights. So I have not done that. But your son Ian and his lovely fiancee Jenna, I think did that last summer, the summer before last. You can go to the top. I think there's also an elevator that takes you. to the
Yeah,
top of the
I
ski
believe
jump
there is.
too.
I did it in 1979, so that was
Yeah. And that's a great
we were up
view.
there. Yeah, that is. And here's a little insider if you don't share it with anybody. The view from the Crown Plaza Hotel, the back parking lot. They have
Hmm.
this wing that's got it's very Adirondack style. There's a number of suites. It's very nice, but you have the opportunity to stay there. The hotel has wonderful views of the village of Lake Placid in the front, but on the back, it overlooks those ski jumps, and
Oh, that's cool.
it's just it's a nice. It's again, it's a perspective you don't usually get
Yeah.
easily, and it is drivable because it's the parking lot.
It's the parking lot. Back on the Veterans Memorial Highway, I just want to make sure that I think you said this, but I want to make it clear. When you get to the top, you park and then you can keep going up. There's sort of like a at the summit of Whiteface, there's like a
Small restaurant.
I don't know about that, but there's a weather
Yeah,
station.
it's all the same. Anyways, it's not the same building.
Well, there's a
There's
building. No. There's a building. You can drive up to the building that has a gift shop and I don't know if it has a
it,
restaurant.
it
But
doesn't have
then
a
there's,
restaurant.
I
It's
think
been a couple of
it's
years since
more
I've
like
driven up.
it's, well, I went last summer, so I think I know
Oh,
more.
man.
But they also there's an elevator that'll take you up to that weather station on the summit. But the day that we were there, it was not working. But the intrepid Pam, my bestie, you can climb up there. There's a very rocky path,
Staircase. Yeah.
staircase, and you can go to the very tippy top and get really spectacular views. And as you said, there is likely a big temperature differential between the base and the summit. So make sure you pack a sweater or light jacket. I froze took us off when we got to the top. It was really chilly and it was a hot day. So definitely do that. The other thing, you're right at Whiteface too. In the summer, they run their cloud splitter gondola that
Yep.
will take you to the top of Little Whiteface, and you'll get great commanding views of Lake Placid Village. And on a clear day, you may be able to see Lake Champlain and the high peaks as well. So we just named a bunch of stuff that are all within close proximity of each other: the High Falls Gorge, the Veterans Memorial Highway, the Cloud Splitter Gondola, and I think you also mentioned one of my favorite places, the Dairy Bar. What's the name of it
White
again?
Brook
White Brook.
in
That's
Wilmington.
super good ice cream. So that's
Yeah.
definitely reward yourself with that afterward for sure.
What I because I don't want to give people the wrong impression that the elevator that goes from the lower parking to the weather station building on the peak of Whiteface. If you're claustrophobic, if it's operating and you're claustrophobic, I would avoid it because you
Okay.
go through a long tunnel that's
Ugh.
carved into the mountain, and it's often damp. However cold whatever temperature it happens to be outside, it's 10 to 15 degrees cooler inside that tunnel. So, and there's usually a wait. So if you're claustrophobic, I would strongly recommend you take the stroll, um, because it's an older elevator too.
Yep. But even if you don't want to go to the summit there, it's worth the view. And as you said, you
Oh,
can pull off at various parts of the road. It's like, though, if you've ever been to a place like the Amalfi Coast in Italy, where you're on these hairpin turns and it's like a sheer drop to one side, it's like that. So I tend to keep my eyes on the horizon and not look out the window, because that drop scares the pants off me. But it's definitely worth it. And as you said, you've climbed a high peak, so I think you'll definitely. I think Randy from Philadelphia, I think you and your wife would really enjoy that. I guess it's also worth mentioning too that if you're in Lake Placid, there's all the Olympic historical sites. You talked about the ski jump, Steve. You can also visit the Herb Brooks Arena, the site of 1980's Miracle on Ice at the Winter Olympics that took place in Lake Placid in 1980, and also was the site of the Winter Olympics in 1932. They've got a great Olympic museum. And then I would also, we've mentioned a couple places in Saranac Lake. Saranac Lake is like 10 miles from Lake Placid. It's a great little cute. It's not little. It's actually, it's a charming, quaint town. Some terrific restaurants, great. We talked about the Adirondack Center for Loon Conservation, the Saranac Laboratory Museum, where Dr. Trudeau did his groundbreaking research to find a cure for tuberculosis, is a really great stop. And like we've sort of talked about these on other podcasts, a lot of these places I call them pocket museums. You can go in, it's maybe half an hour, 45 minutes. It's not this huge investment in time, but it gives you a flavor for the history of the area, and you will learn some really cool stuff. So I would just definitely recommend a side trip to Saranac Lake. And if you don't mind a slightly longer drive, you can go to Tupper Lake, which is just beyond Saranac Lake. And in Tupper Lake, one of the biggest attractions there is the Wild Center, which is the Adirondacks sort of Museum of Natural History. In fact, they were named by the USA Today Readers Poll as the best natural history museum in the US, beating out some really big time museums. So that's a really fun visit, really cool interactive exhibits. You can see the otters. There are some really cool walking trails and really cool interactive things on the grounds there. And it's a really pretty spot too. And Tupper Lake has some good restaurants and is worth a visit as well.
Then, if you were to go the opposite direction, I'll say Chasm is
Yeah.
in less than an hour away, or as my freshman roommate referred to it, Awesome Chasm. Uh, and you can spend a good 2 or 3 hours there, or even longer. So
Yeah.
another a good place to go on a hot August day.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. Okay, I think we have time for one last question. And this one comes from Amber in Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, the
Mm.
Brooklyn.
I
She writes, "We love to go where the locals go. Are there any hidden gem diners, bars, or food trucks locals love but don't necessarily make it into travel guides?" Okay, this question has Brooklyn hipster vibes all over it, I think. But Amber, it's a good question. And yes, we've got some great places. I know you weren't specifically asking about Tri Lakes area, but for our purposes, let's keep it focused on that region. And this could be a good, if we ever do an episode like this again, and I think that's a good standard question to ask because we're all about, the insider
oh,
places, the best that there is.
I lost you.
So, Amber, the first place that comes to my mind for great diners, great local spot is Noon Mark Diner in Keene Valley. I love this place. First of all, they serve breakfast all day long, which I heartily endorse. A proper diner serves breakfast all day, and it's a really good breakfast. I had an amazing sausage and cheese omelet there that just blew my mind. But all the food is excellent and it's home cooked. You're going to get classics like hot turkey and hot roast beef if that's your jam, fried clams, great hearty sandwiches and burgers. They have this, it's called Betsy's Breakfast Burger, which is bacon, fried egg, and cheese on a hamburger patty. Do not knock it till you've tried it. It is quite the tasty treat. So definitely treat yourself.
Jane,
Yeah.
I have one word for you.
What?
Pie.
I was just getting there. Yes.
Oh, good.
Yes. Noonmark is also known for their baked goods, all their baked goods, but especially their pies. The first time I went there was marveled at the people who just the steady stream of people coming in and out with two, three, four, six pies in their arms. So of course I had to partake, and they have fruit pies, pumpkin pie, all different kinds of pie. So do not pass go, do not collect $200. Stop and get yourself some really, really good pie while you're
Pie
there.
pie. Yes.
PIE pie. Really, really good stuff. So that's the Noonmark Diner right in Keene Valley, which is just south of Lake Placid Village. So I would definitely
South
uh,
and east.
south and east. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. And we mentioned Keene Valley earlier, and Keene, really some great shopping in those areas too. I think in Keene Valley, the Birch store has really cool clothes, home furnishings. I bought a beautiful alpaca blanket there that I just absolutely love. Super soft. Anyway, we're off. I'm getting off a little bit on a
Stay to the
tangent there.
subject.
I know. The other place I'm going to mention, and Steve, then I'll let you chime in, is the Washboard Donut Shop in Tupper
Mm,
Lake. I mean, where else can you do your laundry and get a freshly made
fresh
donut?
donut. It's almost worth doing laundry.
It's worth yeah, exactly. It's right on the main drag there in downtown Tupper Lake. It's very unassuming. It looks like the front of a laundromat, but also right there are the good people making the donuts, and they have good coffee. So definitely, that's a place where you definitely want to stop in and treat yourself. And if you need to do a little laundry, you can do a little laundry.
Hmm. Oh, speaking of donuts, you know what goes good with a donut?
Coffee.
Fresh homemade ice cream, not
I,
coffee. Nobody makes coffee. And Donnelly's coffee, or Donnelly's. Now you've got me doing it. Donnelly's ice cream up in Harrietsville,
yes.
a little north and west of Lake Placid. It's they have two fabulous flavors. They have both kinds of ice cream, chocolate and vanilla, and they and they make it right there. It's awesome. It's
Yeah.
really, and it's not a lot of. It's not really a touristy spot. It's just like you you get what you ask for when you go there, and it's ice cream.
Yeah. And it's kind of got an unusual shape. It's kind of got a flat top.
Yeah.
They don't make the big peak like you see on other places. But yeah, it's like right there at the crossroads of whatever highways that there are. There's not a lot around it. I will tell you that it is enormously popular. So if you go, expect to wait in line, but it is worth it. It's often wins, best ice cream in the Adirondacks. It's really, really good stuff. So definitely stop in there.
And it's the intersection of 86 and 186.
86 and 186. Thank you very much. So that's Donnelly's ice cream. And then, also in Tupper Lake, I would, a real local bar is P2's Irish Pub.
Hmm.
It's everybody knows your name. They're super friendly. It's a real big local crowd. They're open year round. Their St. Patrick's Day festival is legendary. Everybody's Irish on St. Patrick's Day at P2's. In the summer, they've got a beautiful patio, a partially covered patio. So it's really nice to sit outside. They have a little bandstand and they have good live music. It's just a really friendly hometown local bar. They've got great food. So I would pop in there if you're in Tupper Lake. Again, I was there last summer with my friend Pam. We stopped by for trivia night, and she and I crushed it. Just saying that it was we had a lot of fun, and we wound up staying for after the trivia games, talking to people, and you'll get a lot of great insider tips too. That's one thing I would say. If you ask people, they'll tell you where to go. Ask your waitress, where do you go on your day off? Ask the person at the local t-shirt shop, what's your favorite place? And you're going to get usual suspects, but you'll also, I bet, discover some little hidden gems on your own.
Ask the bartender at the brew pub.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely do that. Well, I feel like we only scratched the surface, listeners. So be sure to visit adktaste.com for more tips and recommendations for the Tri Lakes and High Peaks region, and actually the other regions of the Adirondacks too, Central Adirondacks, Lake George, Champlain area, and even the southern, as I call them, the southern woodlands, Lake George, or sorry, Glens Falls, Queensbury, that area as well. But we've got every week we are adding new content to the site. You can sign up for our newsletter and never miss an update or new intel on where to go.
And Jane,
Yeah,
a newer listener is interested in asking a question, where might they send that question?
Steve, I would think by now you could answer that question yourself for the listener, but I will tell one of you once again. It's info, at adktaste.com, adktaste.com. Also right on our website, there's a form you can fill out too, and we get those forms. And lately, though, I've been getting a bunch of questions about people wanting to reserve rooms. I'm like, we're not a hotel. But we welcome anyone's suggestions and input. If you like what you heard today, please rate and review us on your favorite podcast platform. It really helps others to discover great Adirondack content and all the insights we provide. And then in our show notes for this episode, we will have links to everything we talked about and maybe even more. And we'd love your feedback if you enjoyed this and you found it helpful. Maybe we'll do it again.
Good.
And given all the weddings that seem to be taking place in Lake Placid, maybe we should
Yes.
do an Adirondack wedding episode. Planning
Right
your
on.
ADK wedding.
I'm not sure I'm up for that.
You're not okay. All right, listener. Thanks for spending
Thank
time with us
you.
again. And we'll see you on the pod. Take care. Bye bye.
Good night, Frankfurt.